Good morning, people. Welcome back to All You Can Eat Chelsea, the show, weekly show that you love to enjoy. Do you know what I mean? We got look at these guys. You know what I mean? I got some food here. I got some tea. I'm joined by the. Everyone just starts bringing out food. Their whole fridge is just pulled across. You know what I mean? We're bright and early. Do you know what I mean? Donald Trump impeached. Fulham taking points off Tottenham. It's a beautiful, beautiful way to start the day. Boys, how are you doing? Miz, how are you doing, my bro?
Yeah, good, man. I almost didn't make it to this stream if it wasn't for my cousins waking me up literally 15 minutes ago. So, yeah, I'm glad I'm here.
And Younes, how are you doing, boss?
Yes, I'm good, man. Thank you for having me on. Pleasure to have another one. I know we're all a little bit frightened now, but it's all good. We got our snacks. We're ready to go.
The people are loving the show. Do you know what I mean? We had it obviously on your channel yesterday. You know, I had a little taste for everybody. Do you know what I mean? And then we come back here today, and we spoke yesterday about Fulham, and I was like, well, they're 18th, and you know, Chelsea should really go and win that game. And you know, now I'm titling the video, you know, begging our neighbours for a favour. Do you know what I mean? That's the situation we've come into.
That's where we're at now.
Former connections like Scott Parker, Ola Aina. I mean, what can you do for us, gentlemen? But hello to the chat as well. I Test Merchant, Pulisic season. Some people just don't miss. Do you know what I mean? I've clocked that. YB1. Certain people just.
Some people are loyal.
They're here every stream. We've already got someone make sure you like the stream as well, because someone disliked it. Clearly, we got a hater. The stream didn't even start, and someone wanted to dislike.
It's a Spurs fan.
Probably the man I was beefing today earlier about having League Honor, and I was like, if you don't like a certain guest, just don't watch it. There's other shows. You know
honestly, and that's one thing that we need to learn, like as a collective, man. If you don't like something, just move from it. It's easy. Yeah. What happened to that? That principle was widespread. What's happened now? Everyone's got to complain.
100%.
Because that's why you got the dislike button.
some people like the show, and some people don't like the show. If you don't like the show, don't watch the show. There's another show tomorrow, and hopefully you like that show. You know what I mean?
I can't imagine some people rock up and you know what? I really, really hate this. I hate it so much, and they still stick around and watch the whole thing. You know, what's the deal with that?
BP Productions, how are you doing in the building? I love BP Productions. He's in every show, and he's always leaving a great comment. Red Pill was like, yo, mod me up. I want to feel special. Well, do you know what I mean? So I'll add some mods. I will add some mods because it's been a while. But people,
You're all promoted.
Everybody's promoted. You know what I mean? People, I was going through the Tottenham Fulham game, and I know Miz watched it very closely, so he'll be able to give us some real good insight. But 52% possession for Tottenham, so it wasn't a dominant performance. 15 shots to 15 shots from someone who didn't see the whole game, right? 15 shots to 15 shots, and it looked very balanced on play. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a team that are unbeaten in 7, I believe, or 1 defeat in 7, I think, one or the other.
Yeah.
But they played very difficult teams in that time. Yeah, they played City, played Southampton, they played Liverpool, Tottenham.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on with Fulham? Because they're still down there, but there seems to be a resurgence under Scott Parker, and I'm not liking it because we have to play them. We are playing a team in the relegation zone mid-season, and I'm shitting myself. Are we favourites? Are we favourites? Do you know? Miz, talk to me. Are we favourites for this game?
Man, I mean, talent-wise, we should be. Like, when you look at it from on paper, from, you know, player to player, we should be favourites, but don't kid yourself one bit about just looking from, you know, individual player to individual player. You got to look at the form, and you got to look at what Fulham has been doing. You look at in the month of December, and you look at the month before December. It's been a complete transformation in Fulham. They were leaking goals. They were naive in defense. You know, there was no structure. They didn't have any attacking pattern. Scott Parker must have taken his group of brothers and just said, we are going to sit down and we are just going to figure out what we want to do in this league. And they started implementing that in the month of December. Obviously they started off with a loss against City, but pretty much everyone loses to City. We got whooped by City, so that's no disrespect to Fulham. In fact, they probably did all right to get beat only 2-0. We got beat 3-0 or 3-1, whatever the case was.
3-1.
There was a consolation goal. They felt sorry for us at the end, so City gave us a goal. But yeah, man, like throughout the month of December, they corrected their structure. They started playing the 3-5-2 or 3-3-4, 2-1, whatever, however they want to sort of set that out.
Yeah.
But most importantly, I think Scott Parker, you look at the month of December, they've stopped leaking goals. They don't leak goals anymore. They've got quite a few 0-0s, 1-0s. They had a 1-0 against Liverpool, a 0-0 against Southampton, 1-0 against Spurs as well. They're very difficult now to beat, and they are also very combative. Like they will get at you. So the way I look at this, Matisse, is going by I know a lot of fans will tell you, but we should win this. Yeah, for sure we should win this. But if you look at our form and so many things that we need to fix, I don't know how you can actually go out there wholeheartedly and say that we should just go out there and just really own the 3 points here, because away from home, this is going to be tough. And also Scott Parker, you see the man's determination, man. You see this guy. Watch him post-match, pre-match. Watch him against Spurs in the match against Spurs.
He basically told Jose Mourinho where to go, didn't he?
Yeah, he told Jose Mourinho, get the hell out of here. Like, don't be using those kind of language with me. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's got that burning desire, Matisse. I'm telling you, this boy will tell his team to be ready for us come Saturday. I just hope that our lads are ready as well, man. I just hope that Frank really fires them up, and that they really understand where we're at. We're in a bit of a mess.
I mean, at least Loftus-Cheek isn't available. That's the one positive. But apart from that, do you know what I mean? They look like a very well-organized team. I'm looking at Ole Einar. He's potentially going to seek revenge. Do you know what I mean? He didn't really get an opportunity here, if I'm being honest. Not the fair shake that he should have got. Scott Parker's obviously a former employee as well back in the day. But I'm just looking at their structure, man. They seem to have their...
Anguissa is another huge player for them.
Just about to bring him up. Yeah, midfield. He's looking unbelievable. And I just look at their structure and I'm like, how are we going to go toe-to-toe with that? Because we've seen last season when we came up against teams in the back three, we changed our shape. Obviously, this season we haven't been doing that, but I'm really hoping Frank, man, plays to our strengths. Younes, are you confident? Because we don't know what 11 we're picking. We have no idea. I'm
gonna be real with you. I'm not confident. I'm just gonna.
Don't get me wrong. I've never seen him rattle.
Don't get me wrong. Yeah. We can win. We should win. But that differs. Knowing that the potential is there, knowing that we should be winning this game is different to feeling confident about the game itself.
Yeah.
Well, after looking at Fulham yesterday, they're the opposite of us. It's weird. Their individual talent is nowhere near as good as ours.
Yeah,
let's have it right.
Yeah.
But their group dynamic is unreal. I don't know what Scott Parker's done, but he's transformed the group. And collectively, they click. They all just click and they're all in sync and they're all there for each other and they don't give up and it's mad. With us, we're lacking that group dynamic. We have individual brilliance that we rely on from time to time. An example would be a Ziyech or recently a Hudson-Odoi, or a Giroud that seems to bear us whenever we need to call upon him. We rely on that. Fulham, they don't have that. But together, they're a block, and we saw that yesterday. They work together. They do everything together. They defend together. They attack together. Everything is together. And Scott Parker has this has diversity in his tactics. You can see that he's always on it, especially on the touchline. Yeah. In-game management is there. He knows what he's doing. It's just, it's a complete flip from us, and it's a complete opposite. Yeah. And that's why I'm not taking it for granted. I think Fulham are going to give us one hell of a game. And you look at some of the conditions that Fulham have had. They've had players out because of testing positive. Some of them fell ill. You're looking at some staff there as well. He said yesterday there was a couple of players that only trained for 1 day and played yesterday and played well. A couple of others training 3 or 4 days and playing well. It's mad.
This is the thing, because we should have an advantage to the fact that not only are we, because we haven't really had mad cases in our squad in comparison to other clubs where it's affected.
In terms of players, we've only had Havertz.
Yeah, so a lot of people keep bringing that up, and 100% that's affected his performance. But from a club standpoint, we haven't had that many issues when it comes to cases at all. No. So we're quite fortunate in that regard. They had cases this earlier this week to deal with. Players training 1 day for a Tottenham game. They then played Tottenham. That game should have taken a lot out of them. It was a very difficult game.
Away from home.
Yeah. They've had a very tough fixture run as well, and now they've got us on Saturday. So really, we should be peppering these lot. Not peppering them in terms of we should be destroying them scoreline wise, but we should be fitness wise peppering them. There should be no problem here fitness wise. They're a lot of them are coming back from an illness. They haven't had many days to train. Now they've had to recover from a Tottenham game, which taken a lot out of them. We saw how many shots they've had. They've really put a lot into that.
They've only got 48 hours of preparation as well.
Yeah, preparation.
Exactly. They had 10 players tested positive. 10.
Yeah, 10. We had one. That was ages ago.
And don't forget, on top of that, in 2 weeks, we've played 1 game against League 2 opposition where we managed to rotate. We have no excuse. There is, on every single front, there's no excuse. If we do not win against Fulham, I am sorry. There's something wrong, really wrong.
Majorly wrong. And I think this is my thing. I think the board will see it that way as well. I think if we don't,
you have to
forget not losing. We have to win this game. A lot of people talk about context where the table's tight and we can still get ourselves back into the mix. 100%, I agree with all that. One of the ways of getting yourself back into the mix is to win matches.
That's it.
If we don't win, we won't get back into the mix, people, and we'll just drift further and further and further away. So it's all good saying how many points are Chelsea of the top 4. Chelsea are. By the way, the gap is extending. Okay, it's 6 points now. It wasn't 6 points before, right?
No.
So 6 points with Aston Villa on the same amount of points. So everyone's almost played the same amount of games. Aston Villa.
Some still have a game in hand, Matisse. Some still have a game in hand.
Yeah.
Most teams have played 17 now. Aston Villa are level on points with us with 2 games in hand, right? Yeah. 2 games in hand. So that's something else. But we're currently 6 points away, level with everybody almost basically played the same amount of games. We need to start winning now because we've got this is the easier fixture out of the next lot. We've got Leicester coming up, who are 4th. We've got Wolves coming up, and we know how difficult Wolves are, regardless of where they are on the table. I know they're 14th, but Wolves always spring a surprise. Then it's Burnley, and then it's Tottenham away. So it's not the easiest run, and it's not been the easiest run for Scott Parker, but he's managed to galvanise his squad, albeit them still being in the relegation zone. I want to go through, because obviously we spoke about this yesterday, so obviously to put a spin on it. I do want to go through what teams we would put out as well, personally. I would hope that we play to our strengths. I spoke about it with Miz a few weeks ago as well about Timo Werner and not playing him for me. I think Fulham will probably settle with a low block, and especially fitness-wise as well. It would make sense for them to set up in a low block. I don't expect them to come out. One thing from Fulham I don't expect from a fitness standpoint is I don't expect them to go at it. Do you know what I mean? It would be very smart for them with everything that's been going on with their cases, with everything that's been going on fitness-wise and turnover-wise, recovery time-wise, for them to set up a low block, be organised. That is what Chelsea struggle against anyway. Set up a low block, be organised, and hit us on the break. In saying that, that means for me, Timo Werner doesn't start because despite him scoring against Morecambe, I didn't think his performance was overly impressive against the League 2 opposition. He didn't get into the game much either, least touches in the first half, so it was difficult for him to get in the game. For me, I'm starting Giroud or Tammy up front. Miz, I know you was thinking about Timo Werner. What's your stance on it now?
Yeah, man, I think I might have to agree with you, man. It's a game where you probably need a Tammy or Giroud. I mean, if we look, I'm pretty sure we're going to spam crosses again. Let's face it. I mean, we're not going to be prime Barcelona. We're not going to be, playing tiki-taka football over 2 weeks break. And Ziyech, he does love his inverted crosses as well. So, having said that, and plus them having 3 at the back, I don't know how much helpful that would be with Timo Werner. So you'd want to have a big, tall striker who can header the ball. So I'd actually go with Giroud on this one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'd go with Giroud.
Whenever we're in shit, Giroud always bails us out. Always.
Yeah.
And we are
his experience against some of these defenders would count a lot. Do you know what I mean? Werner depends a lot on putting the ball behind their defense. And as you both were sort of saying that, how much are they going to actually be playing upfield? They're probably going to sit back a little bit, conserve their energy as much as they can, and probably try and go at us in the second half, probably 20, 30 minutes to go. And they're probably clicking to gear. Probably something like Wolves, I'd say, what Wolves did to us, where they just stayed. And then 30 minutes into the final whistle, they really exploded. So Fulham might look for something like that. So in that essence, I'd want to start Giroud and then obviously Ziyech on the right side. But they need to understand that when Ziyech is going to play, that you do aim for that far post, that you expect that ball. I don't think a lot of our players are still expecting or completely understanding what Ziyech is capable of, and they need to start understing that very quickly.
The thing is he always hits the far post. So why is it so confusing? It's literally it mind boggles me how we have not capitalized more from that ball. I know it takes a lot of, you hit them many times and a couple times it will come off. But for me, especially from Timo Werner, Chilwell's capitalized a few times. I expected Werner to capitalize on it a few more times because, we remember that Ziyech ball to Crimsy Promise against us. It starts off high and it will dip quite low, and that's where it comes towards your feet, and that's where Timo Werner would excel. But even everyone else, I mean, for me, just in general, we're not taking it. The rest of the players, apart from really Giroud, they're not taking advantage of the crosses at all. Reece James is back training; he's been crossing a lot. It's mind-boggling to me how people are still not judging the flight of these balls when they're all the same. We know what Reece is going to do. He flashes it across the box every time, and it's like nobody's at the back post. Nobody.
You know what, Matisse? It just tells me one thing, Matisse, is that I don't know if they're really training this hard enough, or if they're training it. Because honestly, what else can it be? Ziyech was pumping these balls in Ajax, and almost 90% of the time they were tapping it in on the far post. I mean, it doesn't happen just automatically.
Yeah, I mean, Ziyech will probably start. I mean, one person that I expect to play that game is Kai Havertz. We've got a super chat here. We need a more than a confident. Well, I think it says we need more than okay, that's not really making any sense. We'll move on. A confident Kai Havertz that can turn up and drive through the middle. Unpopular opinion: Pulisic, number 10, like he plays for USA. As much as I have toyed with Pulisic at 10, I wouldn't change the formation for this game. I'd go 4-3-3. I'd go Kai Havertz playing in the right side of the right channel. Mason Mount on the left channel. Gilmore's going to start for me as well because Kante is not fit. Pulisic on the left. No, sorry, not Pulisic on the left. Hudson-Odoi on the left. Ziyech on the right, and Giroud up front. We've already, by the way, I think Pulisic hasn't been the best run of form recently. That's another point. Also, I think it's very important to have one of these, wingers that we know can do damage on the bench to change the game. And for me, Hudson-Odoi has to start. And I also am not a fan of just changing the shape right now because we're clearly not trained in it, right? We're clearly not trained in it. But Kai Havertz for me will be huge in this game. The one thing I said I wanted to see in my preview to the Man City game, my review to the Man City game preview with Son of Chelsea, is that I want to see Kai Havertz in the box more. If we're going to use this guy, we need to have him into the box when we're putting in these crosses, and we need to have numbers in the box. I think against Fulham, Reece James potentially could start. If you're going to have the crosses coming in, Younes, Kai Havertz and Giroud in the box, that gives you a much better chance of scoring, doesn't it?
Yeah, completely. And, I want to see a run with Timo Werner playing consistent amount of games. But even after looking at Fulham yesterday, even Spurs were trying. You could see Spurs were trying to cross the ball into the box constantly, and that's how they scored one of their goal. But I do think that Fulham have an advantage of being able to suffocate that the middle of the pitch, especially with the 3-5-2. So it would be beneficial. We know Werner right now isn't great when it comes to spamming crosses into the box and getting on the end of them. Giroud is. So if Giroud gives us an outlet, so we need to play Giroud. Havertz, as you've said, is, if I'm not mistaken, the tallest man on the team, apart from Mendy.
6'4" or something.
Yeah, he's definitely up there.
Yeah, so chances are he'll get on the end of it. Logic, but but that's why. Yeah, I agree. I think Havertz needs to go forward. This is the thing, though. I'm hesitating, and I understand your point, Matisse. With the 4-3-3, it's all we know pretty much at the moment. We haven't trained anything, but I think we'll get ripped with a 4-3-3.
What formation would you play? Would you go three at the back?
No, if we're playing against a 3-5-2, right, and we're playing against a team that are going to pack out the midfield in the same way we saw City do it, in the same way, City, we kind of just let them, in the same way we saw Aston Villa do it, Arsenal do it. I fear the same thing happening. And it was when you look at the 3-5-2 and they've got 5 in midfield and we've got 3 with 1 DM trying to sit back and run everything by himself. If Kai Havertz goes too far forward, we're completely outnumbered. And we've seen what happens when we're outnumbered in midfield. We get done. Yeah. Now I hear your point though. We haven't really done it. We haven't even trained on an alternative. So. Regardless, we're in trouble
anyway because it hasn't been tested.
The only alternative is we go 3-5-2. Like that's the other, because we know how to play the 3 at the back.
Do we?
Even if we think we should, we know that is not going to happen. Frank will not happen. No chance. Yeah. So we're just going to have to pray, lads.
The one thing that I am interested to see is Billy Gilmour starting because I feel like the one limitation to Kante that I've spoken about months ago that was kind of shut down once we went on form, and I was like, cool, I'll drop it. We beat Tottenham. We played well against Tottenham. We played well against Leeds. Those were like my 2 tests, despite Tottenham kind of parking the bus in the end in the second half. But with Kante, you're less likely to have central penetration in terms of your vertical passing, in terms of you're more likely to go out wide because he's the destroyer. He wins the ball back. He plays his short passes, and then maybe that's another reason why Kai Havertz has dropped deeper to help Kante in the build-up. And that's something I wanted to see because I remember last season when I was not really liking Kante at lone DM, and to be honest, I'm still not completely convinced long-term because I've always wanted a more well-rounded lone DM when it comes to in possession. But when we was getting turnovers last season, I was like, Barkley and Mason Mount are not really helping Kante in the build-up, and that's something he's going to need help with. You look at Kante when he's played the double pivot, he's had Matic alongside him, he's had Pogba at France, he's had Drinkwater. They've all helped him with build-up. They've got on the, he's won the ball back.
We've got Drinkwater. Let's bring him back.
We do have Drinkwater.
I'm kidding. No.
Maybe it's time to bring Drinkwater back.
He's somewhere in the Championship, isn't he, or League One?
No, I think he didn't get a move. Surely not. I think he's still in the under-23s kicking Tottenham players. No.
Oh, right.
I think he's going on loan though. I think he has found a move. I'm not sure where, but
his agent is a godsend. I don't know how he's managed to get that, but fair play to him because. Do you know what I mean? After a run that he's been on, I don't know how his agents managed to pull that off. Fair play to Danny Drinkwater's agent, but I mean, Kante's never been, just the guy on his own to do build-up play. He's always had a partner, and that's why I still believe the pivot is his best, 100% best you've seen of Kante. That's like prime Kante. This is evolving Kante, and we've seen him struggle in recent weeks to Man City, to Arsenal. Potentially fatigue as well. I think he's played way too many games as per usual. But like I said, we don't have a replacement because Billy Gilmour's been coming back. But with Gilmour, and I think when Jorginho played as well against, I don't know if it was Krasnodar or Rennes or who it was, but yes, lower opposition, so you have to take that into account. but we seem to, Kai Havertz seemed to play a bit better as well. And I think we seem to just penetrate the central areas a lot quicker. And I think if you're going to have Kai not dropping so far deep, you do need, I don't think anyone will disagree when we say Gilmour is a more progressive passer on the ground than Kante. He's going to find people a lot quicker. Yeah. Vertical passing through the lines, he's going to find them a lot better than Kante. That's Kante's weakness. That's potentially why they're looking at Declan Rice. Not as good for me as Kante as a DM, but in some aspects of the game, like passing, weaker foot, left foot, do you know what I mean? He can punch the balls through. And if you've got a DM where you're confident he's going to punch the balls through to you and he's not going to play it out wide to James and Chilwell, or he's not going to go back to Silva, and he's not going to switch play, but he's actually going to make those difficult line-breaking passes, then maybe a Kai Havertz does play further forward and he does play in the half space, and then you can see him in more dangerous positions. And that's then it's easier for him to get into the box, because we know Kai is quick, but he's not exactly box-to-box sprinting up and down all day long. Do you know what I mean? He does conserve his energy. And I think if Kai comes too deep, then you are less likely to see him in the box when the move is finalizing. And for me, I've said it so many times, he can play the 8. Him playing the 8 or the 10, for me, makes no difference. And people keep saying he needs to go to the 10. And I've been saying it. If he plays in the 8, he's taking up positions in the 10 anyway. If he plays in the 8, he's getting positions out wide, playing in the 10. If you look at his average position for Leverkusen, it was always in that high right channel area, where many times where you used to see De Bruyne spamming that cross with his right foot, that kind of area. But he needs to be in the box. I don't care where he is in terms of, when we're building up play, fantastic, cool. But when we're making that final cross, we need numbers in there, and we need him in the box as well. Because imagine you've got Giroud and Kai to hit, and then you've got runners as well. Because really, Hudson-Odoi, as we saw against Man City, he was in the box for the final goal. Ball came across the box. He was at the back post. I want to see more of that. Pulisic was doing that at the end of last lockdown. If you're making those crosses, you need numbers in the box. And you need the right people in the box as well. Yeah. Guys, as well, big thing with Fulham coming up. Like we said, it's a must-win. What do you? I mean, if we spoke about it, we bantered about the Athletic report. If we don't win this game, what do you think is actually going to happen?
It's a wrap.
Oh, really?
I think it's a wrap.
Honestly, if we don't win this, we got Leicester next. That's the issue. Like, it's not like if we don't win this, we got Burnley next. Yeah, we can correct everything. If we don't win this, we got Brendan Rodgers, Leicester. I mean, for me, I know a lot of people in the timeline are saying that it's not the end of the world. Even if it's a draw, Frank will stick around. Roman's still going to be patient. I don't know, man. I really don't think so, because Roman, as I said to you guys yesterday in Younes' channel, that I think he's 50% probably Frank Lampard out, Roman himself. Do you know what I mean? So, if Frank doesn't manage to get us a win here, which is so crucial as well. I mean, what are we aspiring this season, boys? Do you know what I mean? What are we aspiring for? The aspiration was to close the gap between the top clubs, and now we are 10 points behind Man United, who's not even a top club. Do you know what I mean? Like, they're not one of the top clubs out there at the moment, but we're 10 points behind them. So then we adjusted our expectation that, okay, maybe let's just go for top 4 with the condition that we're in and the circumstances. But you look at the competition, you look at the teams that are in front of us: Southampton, Leicester, Everton, Man City, Spurs. Top 4 ain't going to be a walk in the park. Aston Villa is in the same points as us with 2 matches in hand. So they're also in the mix of the top 4 conversation. So if we don't get points against Fulham, boys, I don't know what we're doing. Like, what are we doing?
When everything was going well, everyone was very happy to push title challenges. Frank Lampard, we can win the title or we can challenge for the title. But now it's not going well. We've dropped our standards to top 4. For me, dropping anything below that is just disrespectful.
It's a problem.
To what we're meant to be trying to aspire for. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't mind dropping my expectations a tad bit when I look at the context of the season, and it's it's not easy. Let's not get it twisted. It is a freak season, and there are variables at play where if it was a normal season, 100%, I would expect us to be way higher up the table, and those initial expectations for me would have been, do you know what I mean, quite spot on in terms of top 3, challenging, well, at least close the gap, win a cup. But because it's a freak season and there's a lot at play, cool. I'm okay to just drop it ever so slightly. A lot of people are not, but I ever so slightly drop it down a position. But to drop it, you know, oh, it doesn't matter. What, another free season? It doesn't matter where we finish now. Do you know what I mean? That's now just almost
no standard.
Yeah, it's almost unheard of.
The thing is,
yeah, go for it.
Sorry. The thing is as well with let's be realistic. If we play Leicester and we draw, that's not a bad result when you look in context.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. If we don't beat Fulham and then we draw against Leicester, well, that's just it's terrible. It's terrible. Yeah. It's just a spiral, and that makes a draw against Leicester look worse. When in reality, that in its own context is a decent result against a Leicester team that we know are really good. But because of not getting a result against Fulham and the results prior to that, where we've been losing and whatnot, and then we draw against Leicester, and then we're just going to go down. We're just going to go down. Yeah. This is why this game on Saturday is crucial. And I do think if we don't win, considering all that's on the table and the circumstances Fulham have been in and how easy we've had it for the last couple of weeks, if we don't win, I think Roman's going to be on that phone. You know, Frank, I wish you the best in all your future endeavours, mate. Like, straight up.
Because as well, I think this is a massive mentality check as well for these players, because the thing is like I've been saying, it's been a very big turnover of players in the squad. For what you usually expect in a season. And a lot of these players have come in, whether they've been Frank signings. I mean, we spoke about when he was signing them, you know, the phone calls and all that kind of stuff. And Frank, as a player, his mentality was top. So I'd expect the players that he's signing for the mentality to also be top. And at the start of the season, it felt like a mentality change was definitely there. This is now a huge test for these players to see, because a lot of them were brought in, you know, for Frank, and you know, it was all singing, you know, their tunes in the press conferences, and I've joined because of Frank, and you know, okay, cool. Well, then you better prove it, because brother needs points. You know what I mean? So you need to the mentality of these players to not saying down tools, because I don't think they ever down tools under Frank, but they need to show that, yo, we're behind this guy, and we want to, you know, we want to keep him in the job, and we want to almost do a turnaround like Ollie has done at Man United, and do this turnaround where we can get back into the things that we should be fighting for. Because if they don't buck up their ideas quickly, it can get very, very sour very quickly. For this team, regardless of how long everybody, you know, like I said, I like a project. I like a long-term, you know, sustained method of going towards success. But I've always said as well, you need to balance out that with dealing with the here and now, because short term we need results. It doesn't matter what you want to do next year and the year after. If you don't get the results now, you won't get to the point, you won't get an opportunity to what you want to do next year or the year after. So, you know, you need to pick up the points now to keep yourself in contention. Nemo says Rice this season has been putting up the terrible defensive numbers. Kante, Jorginho, Gilmore, even Ampadu are averaging more defensive actions than Rice. I don't know, because I'd have to check that, but I know Ampadu, for one, has got way less game time, so that's something to also take into consideration. Same as Gilmore, same as Jorginho. And also, don't mention Rice. Well, we have to mention him because he's a club target, and there's no other targets for DM at the moment. So, you know, you have to get real with the situation. I'm not saying that that's my target, but I'm saying that is the target that is going around. And I think if Frank Lampard does get through this sticky period, that is his number one target, and that everybody can see that. But if he doesn't get through it and someone else comes in, then I've always said, you know, you don't just sign a player regardless of anything. Always get the player, for me, that the manager approves as well. Because I remember when we signed Batshuayi, I think before Kante got here.
Yeah.
I was like, what are you doing? I know you like him, but okay, but does the manager like him? Does he know how to use him? For me, Kante would never use a striker like Batshuayi, from what I've seen in terms of, you know, using Lukaku, how he's used him at Inter. He's always wanted that profile striker. So I've never liked signing a player before you know which manager you're going to go with long term. And right now, his position is under scrutiny somewhat. And, for me, we also need to get players out as well. So it's not even a thing where you should be prioritizing that. I mean, playing Kai on the right-hand side as well, midfield 4-3-3 would be catastrophic. The thing is with Kai is that, again, because this is where I want to get you guys' take on this as well. There's been a lot of people have always said, Kai and Ziyech can't play in the same role because, they can't play together because they're congested on that side. And if you look at their average position or where they tend to float around on the pitch, they do operate in the same kind of area. For me, at the point where, for me, first of all, Kai defensively is not as bad as he's looking at the moment, maybe in the Chelsea shirt, or as bad as he's being made to look. He can be of use defensively, but also I think Ziyech's work rate is underrated as well. He's a very good presser. And I think if Kai was to ever get exposed on that side, he could easily, maybe stay higher up the pitch, and then Ziyech tucks in and for a minute plays that role in transition. I mean, his work rate at Ajax was very, it went under notice. I mean, if you look at that Ajax team, everybody has to be pulling in the same direction. Very much a team game. There's no. I know on the ball, Ziyech was given a free role to go wherever he wanted, kind of, and get on the ball and dictate and have the most touches. But off the ball, he put in a shift. And I think because he plays on that right wing, there's no reason why, okay, cool. If Kai is caught higher up the pitch at certain times when he's trying to get into the box, Ziyech is usually, for me, should be very deep. I don't see the need for Ziyech to be too high up the pitch because I think he likes to make that ball from deeper areas as well. But on top of that, he's a player that has played in that central area for Ajax as well, that right side of midfield at times. And I think he can maybe cover for Kai when need be. And also just Reece James to manage himself and not fly forward. Miz, how would you see those two working in tangent kind of thing?
I don't know if you guys noticed against Morecambe. I know it was a much lower sort of profile of a team, but there was a lot of instances where Ziyech and Kai sort of were squeezed in the one zone. They were very much on the right side, and it felt like they were interfering in each other's area. Now, that could be a natural thing because Kai probably likes to drift that way and then cut in, and similarly, Ziyech wants to start from the right and then drift in. Now, if we want, it all depends on how Frank really wants to play Kai, right? If we want Kai to touch the ball a lot of time, then he needs to be always in and around Ziyech, in and around the midfield where he can just get the pass and lay it off and move forward. But if we do that, boys, I feel like there will be a suffocation of space because Ziyech wants to touch the ball a lot as well. So you can't have two players that want to always receive the ball. If you're going to have that, you're going to squeeze out space. And don't forget, that game didn't even have Reece James. That game had Azpilicueta. Now, can you imagine when Reece James is also bombing in that right side, that whole space is going to get so congested, something's got to give. You can't have Kai, Ziyech, and Reece James all stuck in the one zone. So this is where what you were saying, Matisse, that Kai's got to be really in the box a lot more alongside Giroud. He really has to, somehow Frank has to probably let him know that, look, I may not need you to build up that often because Ziyech is doing that. And maybe take turns when Ziyech is not, in the mood to build up. Maybe Kai drops in and starts building up.
I feel like Ziyech is always in the mood.
He's always in the mood. Yeah. He's always in the mood. So, in that case, Kai just needs to realize that it's not going to be the same way how he used to operate in Leverkusen, where everything was kind of going through Kai Havertz, right? Yeah. Everything's not going to go through him, and he's really going to be more of a goal scorer for us as opposed to a playmaker. So he just needs to, at times, maybe drop centrally, like stay as close as possible to Giroud, but maybe just drop into the center areas and link up as much as he can. But literally just stay off the shoulder of Giroud as much as he can, because you're going to have to expect that cross coming from Ziyech. So that's how I would utilize him. Because that match against Morecambe, there were a few times I was like, ooh, they are stepping on each other's territory here. And you don't, especially against Fulham, you don't want to see that because they'll eat that up.
But it just makes sense because Ziyech and Reece are the best crossers, and Kai is better in the box, really, isn't he, as well? Yeah. He's got a lot of goals from that position. I I Test Merchant says, hope we get to the 40-point mark so we don't get relegated. Younes, Younes, this is where we're at
Peak
now.
season, man. Peak season.
When you can even make jokes like this, Younes, you know it's a madness.
Mate, I mean, not long ago, this was Arsenal. You know, like, it technically still is because they're 3 points behind us. But yeah, they're on an upward spiral, and here we are talking about avoiding relegation. It's mad. I want to say in regards to that point regarding Havertz, though, I fully agree, and it's for me pointless to have him always for him to always go wide. We always see Havertz drift off wide onto the right-hand side. And then, as you said, it gets congested with him, Ziyech and Reece James, or Azpilicueta when he's playing. But Reece James will probably be back for this one. I think on that right-hand side, those two of Ziyech and Reece James are more than capable to sort it out themselves. And if Havertz drops a little bit more central, can either offer the option of one of them passing to him and then him taking it inwards, or, as you said, go into the box and, aid the cross. And one thing Lampard used to do as a player, which I don't see us do, and I see it as a fundamental if we're a crossing team, is to have a midfielder on the edge of the D, on the edge of the box. Yeah. Why is there never a midfielder on the edge of the box, just in case if the ball were to come outwards, someone could just take it straight? We don't.
That should be Mount. That should be Mason Mount.
Yeah, this is why I would always I would try and hope that Mount would be deeper than Kai, because I feel like at times Mount's been higher than Kai, and I think if you're comparing the two players, who would you rather have in the box? Probably Kai. And Mount seems to be taking a lot of long shots at the moment. They've been very good shots, by the way, as well. It's another side of his game that I think he's going to keep improving on. And also, he's got the energy to help Kante defensively. So it does become that two that Nemo's hoping for and talking about, where you're not going to get caught too much if Mount just stays deeper as well and is a little bit more reserved. Because we've always spoken about how Chilwell balances out that left-hand side, where Chilwell's going to love to go forward and Mount will always cover. Then let's actually have Mount very deep, because Mount is better deeper anyway. He switches the play quickly, moves the ball around quicker to the attackers, and not have him in the final third having to make those actions in the box, because he's not the most imposing, is he? Do you know what I mean? Yeah. He's still quite a small player. It's an interesting one. I mean, Hudson-Odoi as well. I thought he's been so good recently as well. I think he seems to bring out the best of Kai as well. So even in potentially, that point about, I know Kai is usually floating around on the right, but there's no reason why he can't, be fluid and join Hudson-Odoi. I mean, there was a moment against Aston Villa where Hudson-Odoi and Pulisic doubled up on the left to give Reece that space on the right as well. I thought that was a decent way of manoeuvring it. And obviously you've got to switch the ball out quickly, which I think Hudson-Odoi and Mason Mount would be quite good at. But, I mean, defensively, we have to speak about that. Mendy has been a little bit ropey of late. There's been, I remember we spoke about Kepa, there's been calls for Kepa to potentially start against Fulham, but I personally can't legislate for it myself personally in my head. But defensively, are you guys worried? Because obviously we've seen Fulham have 15 shots against that's not a joke. Do you know what I mean? Do you guys think we can? I think with a Fulham team that are not conceding many goals as well, they seem to be back to front they're starting to become quite organised and balanced. Do you think this side can keep a clean sheet against Fulham at the weekend, Younes?
If you look at yesterday's game, for example, and not just that, but the games prior to that, but especially yesterday, because Jose, for some crazy reason, it's not crazy, it's Jose, but in the second half, we saw Spurs really sit deep and really play defensively, and it was too defensive. Fulham still found ways through. They still found ways, and every time Spurs went on that counter or they went on the attack on transition, they always got caught out. And if it wasn't for individual errors from Fulham, and I forgot what their front man, what's the name of their front man?
Cavaliero?
No. I've forgotten. But anyway, I remember two occasions where they were pretty much outnumbering Spurs' back line, and there wasn't an option to just pass diagonal straight in behind the defender, and they would have been in on goal. It would have been a one-on-one, and they always make that wrong pass. So you can get caught out. Now, we're not someone that sits back. We're not a team that sits back and tries to just contain and tries to play defensively. We are going to come out. So if we get caught out, Fulham will have chances. I don't see any reason why they won't. So this is where I'm afraid that we could get caught out, and I don't want to put all the pressure on Mendy. Kamara, that's the one. Thank you, Kamara.
Kamara,
Twice he made the wrong decision, and one was blatant. I was screaming at the TV like, he's on your left. He's on your left. He went right, and he's on his left by himself, unmarked. So it's just vision. It's an individual mistake. If we come out on transition, I'm afraid that we'll get caught out, and I'm hoping that we deal with it. And Mendy's going to have his work cut out, I think. So, but at the same time, it depends what we do on the other end of the pitch. It depends how clinical we are. It depends what we're doing when we're attacking, and we have the personnel to score. We have the personnel to kill off the game. I'm just hoping we do so early. That way, it puts Fulham on the back foot and it makes them panic a little bit. Because if we put them in a situation, hopefully it'll be too much for them to handle. It's up to us.
A lot of people are suggesting the 4-2-3-1. For me, we don't have a pivot at the club that I like. If I'm being honest, I think we tried with them at the start of the season. And I do prefer Gilmour right now in the 6th position, because I just feel like that's for the first team. And I know he's played the 8, but for the first team, that's where I've seen him at his best, when he kind of knows that he is the deepest midfielder. He's got all the responsibility of build-up play, communication, pointing others in what direction. And I know it's a risk because it is a difficult game, and we know in transition Fulham could be dangerous, but for me, I would just play Gilmour where I've seen him at his best, because he's for me, I think he's going to be critical. And I wouldn't play Jorginho for the sheer fact that Kante is not available, because I haven't. For me, I always think Jorginho is best if he's going to play that role when he's got a box-to-box, real box-to-box shunter on the right of him, which is either an Allen or a Kante or someone. But with Kante not available, I just feel like in transition, Jorginho could potentially get exposed. And we know Jorginho is better when he's pressing and able to get around people in higher areas and make those tackles and interceptions. Whereas if it becomes a stretched game where there's transitions and there's lengths of the pitch to run, and things can get mad. And I think obviously Gilmour's just that bit more mobile, but less experienced. And yeah, I can't, because I get what people are saying about, Havertz in the 10, even though for me, I don't think it makes a massive difference. It's really just about, I don't know about the pivot people. I don't know what 2 people you'd put in that pivot. So, keep your suggestions coming in with that as well. I mean, Miz, what do you think about? What do you think about that defense situation as well of Mendy? Is that a long-term concern you've got? Because we've been linked with a lot of players, man. I mean, Upamecano, Donnarumma. I mean, also Tomori going out on loan as well. But I just feel like I'm not. I wouldn't say I'm not excited, but I'm not excited about just splashing more when there's players that are still not really integrated right now. Do you know what I mean? I can't get gassed about. I know that usually, and I think this January is quiet anyway, just because it's just the freak of the norm. But I can't get so as excited as I was about new signings. Or we need this, we need that. We have a very good squad. Let's not forget that. People were once saying that this is the best. One of the best squads in the league with Man City.
It is.
And that,
it is.
Yeah. And so either we're going back on that or we're holding the energy. But for me, we've got a good enough squad to be doing way better than we are, and also to be utilising the players that we've brought in the summer better than we are. So I'm not excited about, who should we get? Should we get this goalkeeper? Mendy, for me, at the start of the season was looking brilliant. So what's happened to him? Do you know what I mean? We need to recover that. We can't, third season in a row, go and get another, third out of 4 seasons, get another goalkeeper for me. It's just constantly trying to buy players to keep, plugging, try and, paper over cracks kind of thing, where we need to work on what we've got at the moment, because what we've got is a very, very good squad. Or I thought we did anyway. No,
100%, man. I mean, you ask any of the rivals as well, they'll tell you that Chelsea's got one of the best squads in the league at the moment, if not, just behind, City and Liverpool. We've probably got one of the best squads out there, and we should be much higher in the table, and we should be really, really mixing it with the big boys. That's why, just like you guys, I'm not gassed about any more new signings, because we haven't even, as you said, we haven't even integrated some of these current signings that we've got and got the best out of them. So how can you then also, and let's not, forget the fact that Romans invested a lot. Like, we got a lot of players this last window. It's not like we only got 2 or 3. We got 6. Like, something ridiculous, 6 or 7. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Enough was brought in for Frank to do the job. So we can't sit here and be greedy again and go, but we need this, because it's not complete. Because we're never gonna be satisfied that way, right?
We've had way worse squads and done a lot more with them. Do you know what I mean? I know a lot of people say we don't have this in this position or we lack this trait in this position. Every squad lacks something that they would like to bring 100%. To they would like to enhance, or little thing here or there that they're missing. There was a season where Man City didn't even have a left back because Mendy was injured. So they had to either go with a right footer over there, or they had to play Fabian Delph, or they had to play Zinchenko, who's basically a midfielder, and find a way to make him an inverted left back who gets involved in the midfield, and they had no real width on the left. Everybody has always got shit to deal with. Yeah. And I don't like the fact that, for me, I feel like some Chelsea fans will for me, look a little bit greedy and entitled right now. It's like, we need this player, or we haven't got Declan Rice, we haven't got this, that, the other. Okay, maybe we don't have this certain trait in this area. Maybe we're lacking this but we have got luxuries. Don't get it twisted. Yeah. We've got a very good damn squad.
This squad, I think, is better than how it was under Antonio Conte. If you have to compare the two, I think this squad was Antonio Conte.
For sure.
And look what we've done.
It's not even close, bro. Victor Moses.
Exactly. but this is the thing. Look what we done back then. Look how we used what we had. You see, and this is why, as much as many don't like to say it, we have to look at the manager. Sometimes you have to. Yes, players have responsibility, but in terms of the squad and what we have now, we were using a lesser able squad before, better, and won the title. Now we're not using what we have correctly. Any manager would kill to have our squad. Let's have it right. Yeah. So you have to take that into consideration. Hopefully you find a way.
And you know what, Younes? I go back to the point that what does Frank want? I don't think he knows what he the style of football. I feel like Frank is
that's where I disagree. I feel like he knows what he wants, but is he experienced enough to implement it quickly?
Yeah. That's the other thing.
And does he have the in-game? Does he have the in-game management in terms of the know-how to? Does he know how to really affect a game consistently enough? Because again, he's affected games in the past. I've named Tottenham away, Arsenal away last season. So I remember the games where he's clearly affected the game. Ajax away, very good tactical game. But I always ask you, is he experienced enough to be able to do it with all of these variables that we see this season? And I feel like he knows what he wants to do. Because I said this to you before, Miz. When I see our signings and I see the players that we brought in and I see the squad that he's trying to form and the club are forming, I can see patterns of play. I can see, not on the pitch all the time, God no, but I can see the patterns of play in my head that we would be trying to make. I can see what we would want to be doing in the future in terms of, I can see these players, but is he experienced enough as a coach, and does he have enough knowledge as a coach? Because again, I keep saying this, people admit that he's learning on the job, and people admitted that he's not very experienced as well. Comparison to, he's not, for me, not top 7, top 8 managers in the league. Has he got the experience to implement it quick enough? That's true for me. True. But carry on. That's for me.
No, you boys are spot on. I think in the sense, you guys make a valid point that his signings kind of indicate that he kind of knows what he wants to do, but at the end of the day, how he implements it. Yeah. And this is where I go back to, coaches like, say, for instance, in this case, Scott Parker. He looks at what he's got in his squad, and he comes to a situation that he was leaking goals. He wasn't very impactful up front. He wasn't impactful in the middle. And he must have just got the lads together and just sat down and said, what works best for us with what we have? How can we get the best out of us so we can actually play as a team, and so we can be combative against some of the big boys in the league? And that's why, you see them getting a draw against Liverpool. You see them getting a clean sheet against Southampton as well. Southampton put 3 against us. So, this is where I think you boys are right. Like, maybe Frank just knows, he probably knows in his head what he wants. He just doesn't know how to implement it, or he doesn't know how to explain it that, this is what I want you to do, Kai, or this is what I want you to do, Kante, or this is what, what I mean? Like, I don't know. Maybe he just feels that these players should just know. Like, you guys are...
Yeah. Do you know what it is as well? It's the fact that, again, recently he's had a lot of time on the training pitch with these players. So he should really, we should be able to, hopefully, that's what I'm saying in these coming weeks as well. There's less excuses because, like Younes said earlier, you've got 2 weeks now where you've had no real disruption. Players have been there. There's no international break. There's no Champions League. There's no cup. Like, you've had 2 weeks with one easy fixture. I'm expecting a lot of stuff to be done on that training ground this week.
Exactly.
Because we've spoken about how there was no pre-season. We've spoken about how there was a lack of training days in between games in terms of, international duty earlier in the season, Champions League football, cup football. And like I said, the likes of the Ancelottis and, other managers in the league with more experience have been able to implement what they want faster. They've signed loads of players. But again, I say this with Ancelotti. He knows exactly how to implement what he wants because it's like when you get an essay or when you get a maths question but say you've been doing your degree for 3 years and but the second year, the work gets harder, like it would for Ancelotti because he's dropped to a different quality of team. But because you've solved these problems in the past, you're able to solve it quicker as you progress through your career. New problems, but you're able to solve them a lot faster because you've got the experience under your belt, and you can use what you've previously learned in the future to then apply it to the new problem. And that's how Ancelotti is just continuously. I mean, this is why I rate him so highly. And for me, the most unjust sacking of the whole Roman era, where I just kind of like the rest of them, you can kind of be like, I can see how he got sacked.
Yeah, that was mad.
To my deathbed, Ancelotti getting sacked for me was the most unjust thing that's ever happened in football.
Mate, the way he got sacked too, man. In the tunnel at Goodison Park, like that's peak. That's peak.
He finished second.
Yeah.
Imagine those days where we finished second, right? He gets sacked.
Sackable offense. Sackable.
I mean, look at where our standards have gone, right? Like, managers used to get sacked for coming second. Like, why didn't you come first?
These days, you've got people celebrating that they're joint top. Like Roman, so Carlo's like, I did come second, but I did win the league last season, and we're gonna improve on that next season, boss. Did you say you finished second? Get the fuck out! Get
out of here! And now, maybe come fifth. Frank should get a third season. Like, this is where we are now.
Bro, I can't.
Imagine saying that to Roman. Imagine knocking on Roman's door and just go, "Hey,
but
Frank deserves another season." Yeah, he won't do that.
Younes, I swear, bro, how many times have we said this? People's expectations for Frank are lower than Frank's expectations for himself.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Deep it.
Yeah. It's Matt. We need to be careful of that 1 point alone, and not acknowledging the circumstances. And Frank is learning on the job and all of this, but we need to. A standard is a standard. It's as simple as that. You let that slip, you're going to fall behind, and that will affect you in the long run. You look. I mean, look at Arsenal. Arsenal's a big example of how standards drop and they deplete themselves. You try and tell Arsenal to get into a title race. It's not happening anytime soon.
Yeah.
After years and years of success and being at least, back they had a time where finishing fourth was like, oh, this isn't good enough. We'll take it, but it's not good enough. And now they would kill for fourth. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We need to be careful of not letting that standard slip, regardless of who's manager and whatnot. We need to make sure.
And this is why I say fourth is the bare minimum, because last season we got fourth with a squad that was way less talented than this one ability-wise.
Yeah.
But he was able to. I mean, I know the points total was quite low, and it was a difficult season. But that just also goes to show that a lot of other teams were struggling as well, apart from Liverpool. A lot of other teams were struggling to pick up points. So when we say, there's caveats to this, a lot of people say, oh, well, we was lucky to finish top four. And I've even said in the past, listen, we were dropping points and other people were dropping points as well. So, we need to not be looking at other teams and try and make sure we're winning our games. But that also goes to show that the league is more competitive. And we've spoken about previously how the lesser teams seem to have, if anything, more experienced managers who are able to coach their sides higher up the league, and the rookie managers are if anything, bringing it, rookie managers at the top level who are not as experienced are able to make the table tighter. But I think the fact that he was able to get fourth with that very, for me, underwhelming squad when you look at it on paper and what he inherited from that season under Sarri with Hazard leaving and whatnot. I'm like, okay, cool. Fourth, I'm not celebrating. I never celebrate fourth. Even when we finished fourth last season, and everyone was like, oh, thank God, we got Champions League football. I was like, great, we got Champions League football, move on. Win the FA Cup. Win the FA Cup and I'll start celebrating. We didn't win the FA Cup, so I was depressed. But but this season, get fourth and cool. I won't celebrate, but I'll be like, okay, cool. Now next season, you have to challenge. You have to be close. You have to. You have to challenge.
You know, the one thing, boys, I was just thinking, the one thing that really has disappointed me throughout this Frank Lampard era is that he hasn't made us difficult to beat. Like, other teams find it very easy to beat us. And that's what's really been disappointing, that our team, even last season or even this season, has been an upgrade in the back line, as we were talking about. You know, Mendy, you know, Chilwell, Reece James, Thiago Silva, Zuma, you know, players like Kante, World Cup champions. I just find it very difficult that Frank, in the era that he was so dominant for us, we were so difficult to beat as a team. You know, very rarely we would be worried that, oh, we're going to come out with an L over there. You know what I mean? Like, now it's like Fulham, and we're worried that we could possibly get an L here. So that's been my biggest issue, that I don't care if we're always fantastic to watch or, you know, we get the wins all the time, but at least be very, very difficult to beat. You know what I mean? Like, squeeze out the draw. And this is where Fulham with Scott Parker, where they've turned around. They're difficult to beat. They get the draws. Do you know what I mean? They don't die, you know, straight away. Like, you know, they concede, they come back, they fight. We concede, and we're like, you know, that's it. It's over. Do you know what I mean? Like, against City, we conceded, and it was like, you know, heads down. Against Everton as well, we conceded, and it was like, what do we do now? You know, they've got a low block. Like, we can't do anything. Let's just pack up bags. No. Against Wolves as well, like, we were leading, and then we got beat 2-1, and we got outpowered that match. Like, the amount of power Wolves showed was unbelievable.
This is in the space of since just over a month. So I'm hoping, because against Tottenham, you know, although I felt like we should have went on to win that game, because I think if you make that Giroud change earlier, potentially we get a winner. But we limited Son and Kane to one shot on target. So we was able to tactically, in that game, limit Tottenham to chances and, you know, quote unquote, maybe be difficult to beat. So again, I feel like there is something there, but I'm hoping personally that this is just a very poor stretch of games, and he turns it around with the training days that he's had this weekend, this last 2 weeks, to get back to what he started at the start of the season, and then in the second half of the season against the top 6 and top 8, top 10, to have a much better record, and we finished the season strongly. Because there has been evidence of us being difficult to beat, like you mentioned, that defense, you know, for the first part of the season was really good, very strong, lots of clean sheets. You know, we were talking about Mendy, you know, being up there for Golden Glove potentially. He was that high up in the pecking order in terms of that. You know, I think at some point we were second in terms of goals conceded to Tottenham. So we had a strong base, but this patch of form has just exposed us in every way, shape, and form. Do you know what I mean? I think we went into it thinking, yo, we've got a big squad and we can rotate, and there's going to be a lot of fixtures. We should be able to get through it. What ended up happening is that we had a lot of fixtures, and maybe we didn't have the time to juggle it. Well, we've always had lots of fixtures this season, but now we had a lot of fixtures with difficult opposition, and tactically we didn't have, you know, maybe, you know, give yourself
and that's the thing, Matisse.
Chance, yeah.
And that's the thing, Matisse. I think, you know, the games that you were sort of referring, that we were quite solid at the back. We weren't challenged against some of the top clubs. Do you know what I mean? Now, in recent times, we're coming across some big clubs, Man City, you know, in recent, Aston Villa as well have shown really good quality this season. And we've struggled. So that's what I want to see against the better clubs. And you know, against clubs that really want to put the pressure on. I want to see how we handle them.
You know, we need this guy.
Oh, mate, I would kill for an SN.
I usually change his shirt. I usually change, because, by the way, a lot of guys have been asking me where all these shirts are coming from. By the way, they're not mine because I'm not at home like where I usually am with, you know, the studio and the apple juice. And you saw where me and Younes was filming and everything. I'm now at my parents in Ireland because I was like, well, we're in lockdown. So why am I going to sit in tier 5 and by the way, Saj has got COVID now. So why am I going to catch? Yeah, he's got it. So why am I going to catch a disease? Why am I going to catch a disease when I can catch a flight? Do you know what I mean? And just leave. So I'm at my parents at the moment until tier 5 is over in England. But my dad's got a mad collection of shirts. So he's got like the auto glass. Yeah. So I've had like auto glass up here. And they're like, how are you getting all these shirts? You're just switching them around every video. But I haven't switched this. We haven't switched this because I'm not going to lie. We need this right now. When he's at his peak, bro, this guy was at his peak, disgusting. It was nuts.
Long range shots, defense.
Bro,
like, although we have midfielders and we speak about box to box with the attacking 8s, and I don't even really believe in attacking 8s because I always feel like one of those should be a little bit more defensive minded than the other. And they should take up. They shouldn't take up exactly the same zones. I mean, you know, I feel like Mount. Yes, he can get into the half spaces at times, but I do want him to be a bit more restricted. This guy, there's nobody like this guy in the team. You're talking about an absolute powerhouse. You know, we speak a lot about Frank Lampard, but one thing this team lacks to get through difficult periods, which we have to touch on, because I don't want to just put it all on Frank, because if it was all on Frank, he'd be sacked. I feel like this squad that he's assembled, so again, I guess he has to take some responsibility. There's no bastards. There's no powerhouses.
Yeah.
It's so weak and fragile. Have you not noticed that? I
spoke
about this with Alex on Byline. I said to myself, where are the bastards in this team? Seriously.
That's what we were renowned for.
Bro, I'm not one of these guys to get a pint of Heineken and be like passion merchants and, you know, we need but at the same time, there's no bastards in the team, bro. There's no Diego Costas. There's no bastards. There isn't.
Yeah.
Like, they're so fragile. Like, do you remember when Reece James was going up against Patrick Bamford? I need more of that.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly that.
Do you know what I mean? I need, we're in the box. Okay, get a little touch, go down, get your penalty. I need that. I need Bruno Fernandes. I don't like to praise him publicly, but I need Bruno Fernandes. I need someone to be like, yo, we're winning this game regardless. I don't care if we have to cheat. I don't care if we have to lie, beg, borrow, steal. We're winning this match. Do you know what I mean?
You know where that came from, though, Matisse? That mentality came from Jose.
Yeah,
that mentality came from
Jose. Exactly. And I feel like recently...
We saw it in the Amazon documentary, innit? I can't say the word. You'll get demonetized.
Don't say that. Demonetized.
But it's true. You have to be a bunch of...
Yes. Because everybody watched it, everybody knows.
Yeah.
But
comment if you know what we're talking about.
Yeah. We won't time you out. Comment. No, I'm joking. But because I don't know what age some people in the chat. I want to encourage that. You know what I mean? Go to bed on time. Do your homework. Same old. But seriously, we don't have bastards in this team, and I feel like when the time, and this is what I'm talking about when I speak about, it's a big opportunity for the mentality of this squad up for question, because a lot of these players were brought in for Frank and under Frank. So they all talk about in their interviews for the fifth stand, for the fifth app, you know, we're here to play for Frank and we love him. And okay, prove it. Do you know what I mean? Prove it. Do you know what I mean? There's certain things where I'm seeing where I'm like, we need to show that mentality now in this team. And when the going gets tough, man, them like this will pull you out. Do you know what I mean? And when I speak about box-to-box midfielders that can do both sides of the game, we don't have that. You know, even Kante is a box-to-box. He's not going to go up there and get you your goals and your long shots and whatnot. This brother, it doesn't matter what's going on, whether it's going back for a tackle, you know, bodying a man off the ball, taking your shots. We talk about long shots in this team. Nobody shoots. Nobody shoots. We're just looking we're either crossing or we're looking for the perfect goal. So there's so much for me in this team that is... I like I said, I don't want to make excuses because, like I said earlier on, we still have enough to do the job. But I look at the mentality. It's not even profile. Mentality, big couple weeks for this team, mentality-wise.
Also, with that, it's not necessarily a thing of, like you point out, Essien. When we talk about, you know, being bastards or being, you know, that sort of profile of player, it's not necessarily just a physical thing. Not asking for players to go on a punch up. Like that's not it. Yeah, but what
I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind it either, to be honest. I think that'll be class. But like alongside that, the playing aspect,
Yes,
taking risks, having the bottle, as you said, taking shots from distance, it's a risk. Sometimes you look at it and think, oh, maybe I shouldn't. You look at an Essien or even a Lampard or whatever. Back then, they'd be like, screw it and just go for it. Just
I don't
take
want
that risk, no, of course, no. But there's many aspects of sometimes being able to try and drive, try and dribble, try and get past the man. Don't take the safe route. Don't go backwards. All of that combines into one of not being soft. We've got a lot of soft players, as far as I'm concerned. Talented, very, very talented players with so much ability, but soft. And
from top to bottom, it feels like that, though, doesn't it? Because even Frank, we speak about him on the touchline. It feels like he feels a bit dejected. Like we feel like we've lost. Like maybe without the fans, he's kind of lost a little bit of himself in terms of. It wasn't so long ago he was on the touchline with Klopp and he was swearing at him and all this. Do you know what I mean? But as the weeks have gone on and the form's dipped, it feels like he's lost a little bit of. Do you know what I mean? He's a little bit dejected.
Grit,
so from from top to bottom, the whole team just feels a little bit. It feels a little bit
demotivated.
A little bit like that. So that's why I'm a little bit worried. Wendell with the super chat here says, if we keep rotating Callum and Pulisic, will it help hurt their development? It seems like we've got two high potential first team wingers. Should we sell one? No. The whole point of having depth in a team is that you have these players. Look at Man City. When they won the touch. Sané, Bernardo Silva, Mahrez, Sterling. That is what being a big club is all about. You look at Chelsea. Lampard, Essien, Makelele, Mikel. Ballack. That is the whole point of being a big club. There's no point having quality players. And then, we got too many now, sell them. That's not how you build. Do you know what I mean? And on top of that as well, Pulisic is extremely injury prone, so he's getting rotated anyway. So it's not a problem. Do you know what I mean? He's someone that has to be rotated regardless. So it's not even a thing where Pulisic would be starting every week, because even though his quality would suggest that he could, but injury wise, no.
And just in regards to the development part of things as well, you look at under Pep and you look at someone like Foden, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people can say that, but he didn't get that much match time, and how did he become so good? Right now, like he's a fantastic player at the moment. Foden is a very, very good player, class player. They lost Silva at the end of last season, and this guy has just come in and given them so much energy already, and then his passing range, his shooting ability, everything is on point. So the whole development factor. How did Foden get all that development without playing so much? So it's not always. I'm not advocating here that don't get game time. Of course, you need game time, but once again, management, experience. Someone like Pep Guardiola has still managed to develop someone like Foden without giving him minutes. So it just means that how hard Foden must have trained, how hard he worked, and how hard he understood everything what. Pep had to say. Have you guys noticed? And there's famous clips out there, right? Even post-match, after Pep has pumped an opposition 6-0, he'll go up to one of his players and he's still teaching them tactics. He's like, you should have done this. I need you to go through the channel. And that's after a 6-0 thumping of the opposition. Do you know what I mean? He's still got suggestion after that. He's still got room for improvement after that. So, it's all mentality, boys. It's, Same with Jurgen Klopp. These guys are never satisfied, man. These guys are never satisfied, So, and this is what I mean. I mean, look, I'm Frank Lampard in, man. I really hope that it turns around. And honestly, all the serious talks that we've done here, I hope that this guy can turn around. Honestly, I hope he goes and beats Fulham. I hope he goes and beats Leicester. But the fact of the reality is that he's got a lot to learn in this industry as a manager. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not a player.
This is the thing as well with Lampard. It does seem like he possesses those traits, but he doesn't reflect it during the game.
Yeah.
He says all the right things in the press conference.
Yeah.
He says everything you want to hear. You can see he doesn't I don't want to say he doesn't motivate himself. You know, you could see that he doesn't look like the type that's always satisfied either.
Yeah. He said it in the press conference where, like, when we're winning, I don't get too high. When we're losing, I don't get too low. But then I've seen him mad dejected, so I don't know.
That's the thing, exactly. So when you try and translate that to during a game, or, you know, reflect it when it matters most, that's when we don't see it. And that's the problem. I think that's one of the issues with Lampard. He does everything right, but when it comes to during a game, it's like he's hoping, like we are. He just becomes a fan rather than.
That's all PR for the camera.
No, seriously though. Like even boys, when we lost against City 3-1, people were fuming, and then Frank came out post-match with that post-match interview, and everyone was like, "Wow, you know, he was talking facts. He really was." Dude, we just lost 3-1. Can we focus on the 3-1 as opposed to has Frank said anything wrong in this? He was spot on with his post-match. I don't give a damn if he was spot on with his post-match interview. I don't want to see us get thumped 3-1.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, exactly. 100%, because you can't talk your way out of bullshit. Like, you can't. I said, I'm a massive fan of his press conferences. I think he handles them better than most. And as a manager, that is one of his massive strengths. You know, the way that he was able to manipulate the media with the Barkley penalty situation against Valencia, defended. You know, he's never hung out a player individually to dry, but he's always. What I wanted him to stop doing was collectively. I mean, yes, the team are at fault sometimes, but to sometimes take responsibility yourself as well. But he's never hung out a player to dry. He is very good in the media. But I'm not going to lie, those press conferences don't change the result. They don't. No. And I don't feel any better after this. Sometimes I don't even watch them, to be honest, because I'm preparing the stream. But I don't feel any better after he's spoken if we're getting clapped like that on the pitch. I'm not going to lie. People, this will probably act as the preview, because we've basically done everything I wanted to do in a preview. So I don't think I'll put out a stream tomorrow, because we've got Fulham on Saturday, and I'm on 3 streams tomorrow as it is, in terms of going on other people's channels, which we're going to get onto very soon. Plug Miz real quick. But yeah, so I'm going to be on other streams tomorrow in other channels. 3, you know, that's a lot. I'm not gonna lie. That's like 3 hours minimum talking. So I don't think I'll put one here, because this acts as a Fulham preview. So I will.
We've covered everything, really.
Yeah, we've covered everything, and the last thing that we have to cover is everyone's team selections and a prediction. And Younes, I'll let you go first. First of all, what team would you put out? 11 back to front, guys. Make sure you put your teams in the chat as well. And then give us a score prediction as well. Just so when we come back next week, we can see if this works out.
Evidence.
Oh, man. This is going to be mental. Okay. What do you want? What I would do, or what I think Lamp's going to do?
Always what you would do. What
I would do.
Because there's no point trying to... no one can predict what he's going to do, if we're honest, because he could do anything.
What I would do... I would go to a 4-2-3-1 if it were me.
Okay.
As much as I think he's going to go over 4-3-3, because it's all we know at the moment. Yeah. I want numbers in midfield. I really do, and I hope we have enough talent up top to take our chances. But I would go with Mendy in goal. Reece James, I think, will be back. So Reece James at right back. Chilwell left back. Our back 4: Zuma, Thiago Silva. The 2 in a pivot of Billy Gilmore and Mateo Kovacic.
Okay.
Kovacic to aid him maybe defensively, and can drive a bit forward whilst Gilmore can sit back, or vice versa. Havertz just in front of them.
You're dropping Mount.
Yeah.
Mad.
Oh, hey.
For
You're done out here.
If it's a 4-3-3, then I reckon it will be Gilmore, Havertz, and Mount.
Probably, yeah.
But in a 4-2-3-1, Mount's not in a pivot.
No, true.
And he's not a 10 either. Like Havertz. So that's the only reason. The wingers of I don't want to drop Hudson-Odoi, but
what? You're under arrest.
No, I don't want to drop him.
Yeah.
But who do we leave out? Because Ziyech will be on that right hand side, so it's going to be between Pulisic and Callum Hudson-Odoi.
Personally, but it's your team.
It's mad. It's a big one to leave out.
And we wonder why it's so difficult for Frank.
You know what? I'd agree. I think Hudson-Odoi deserves to play. He deserves to play. He deserves to. So at least to start off with that, and if he's looking uncomfortable, then Pulisic will come on.
Yeah,
At least that's someone that's a good option to have. And up top will have to be Olivier Giroud, just for the circumstances of the game. And if we're going to be crossing and doing all that, whilst Fulham are going to be in a low block, Werner will probably be ineffective if he's just surrounded by defenders. I reckon Giroud will be the man to go to, hopefully to get us out of a situation. That would be my 11.
I'll put my team out, give Miz some time as well. What would be your score prediction then, Younes?
Oh, man. Do you want me to do the whole head and heart thing again?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I like
so
that.
My heart is telling me Fulham 0, Chelsea 2. Yeah, because it is what it is. My head is telling me Fulham 1, Chelsea 1.
Ooh. Okay, my team would be I'd go Mendy in goal, obviously. But he needs to improve his form though very quickly. Chilwell, Silva, Zuma, and Reece James. Praying to God that he's back. Love Aspilicueta. Everybody knows that. Set up a great cross the other day for Havertz, but Reece James for me needs to be back for the crossing, because like I said, we have the most crosses in the league. We're going to cross, so I'm setting up my team to cross. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna start setting us up to do stuff that we don't do, because it's not gonna happen. Like, we ain't gonna start playing prime Barcelona football. We're gonna cross. So here's the crosses. And then midfield, I'm going with a 4-3-3. Because I don't, the main reason why is because we talk about numbers in midfield. I don't want it even prefixed in Havertz's head that he's playing in a free role in the 10. I don't even want it in his head. I want him to be in that 3 because I want him to make sure he gets back and he gets back into shape if we are done in transition as well. And Ziyech can help out as well. I do want us to be wary of that. And I think if he's playing in the 3 and he's even, even in the back, even if you just whisper him, you got to get back into position when we're defense. Cool. And then if he does get exposed, you've got Mount deeper and helping Kante. But I don't want it in his head he's in the 10, because I just think, I feel like when you give players that free role, it could go great, but it also could go a little bit pear-shaped as well. I don't have any pivot options. I don't like the pivot options. Kante's not available. Sorry, Gilmore. I don't like the pivot options. So I'm going to go Gilmore, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz in the 3, with Mount the more defensive, but obviously Kai is still there and licensed to get in the box. Ziyech on the right for the crosses, Havertz in the box, obviously with Giroud, and then Hudson-Odoi on the left. And I think Hudson-Odoi for me has been the most informed forward for the last month, so he has to play. He's got, you can switch to play very quickly, like I've spoken about earlier if Ziyech does come central and moves across, you've potentially got acres of room for Reece James to go out there, switch to play. Hudson-Odoi can cross, good 1v1, getting goals, and Giroud up top, because Giroud just, for me, is, if we're talking about a low block and we're talking about Havertz playing off Giroud, when he gets further forward, or numbers in the box, heading, near post flicks with the goals, volleys, anything, Giroud is probably the best to handle it. So, and the experience. Prediction. I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. I think we'll concede, and I think if I don't predict a win for Fulham, then what more can I say? Do you know what I mean? So, do you know what I mean? To be honest, you can't, at this point, you can't even be frank in and not predict a win for Fulham, because it don't make no sense. Because, do you know what I mean? It doesn't. Miz, go for it.
I'm going to do mine a little bit differently to you boys. I'll start with my selection, and then we'll try and figure out what formation this turns out to be. Because
he's going to a 3-5-2.
Yeah, no, I've got issues in midfield, and I don't know how to sort that out yet. So my front 3, obviously Ziyech on the right side, Callum Hudson-Odoi deserves to be on the left side, Pulisic off the bench. I'm a bit up in the air with Giroud and Tammy. I think both have different qualities. If it comes to crosses, then you'd want to go with Giroud because of his aerial ability. But at the same time, if it's movement, you still want to link up and movement, and you want that added bit of speed. Perhaps Tammy, but I think I'd go with Giroud on this one, purely for the fact that we're gonna spam crosses and Ziyech is also going to try and look for that inverted cross as well. So front three of Ziyech, Giroud, and Hudson-Odoi. I'll leave the midfielder because that's where it's so confusing. In the back, just like you boys, Mendy, Reece James, hopefully he's fit, Thiago Silva, Zuma, and Chilwell. So that part of the section is pretty much fit. Now, in the middle, this is where it gets interesting because Fulham, they've got a player called Engiza, and this man is strong. He's so devastating in the middle. They've got other players like Lockman and a few other players. So, as much as obviously we don't have Kante, and it looks like it's most likely Billy Gilmour who's going to get an opportunity, I'm worried how much of a defensive capability Billy has up against some of these big boys like Engiza. This guy is huge, and Billy is small. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we're going to be asking a lot defensively, even though we may have a lot of the ball. But these guys will make it very difficult in midfield with 5 in the midfield, mind you. So they go 3-5-2. So they'll have numbers in the midfield to make it very difficult for us.
If you look at our midfield makeup, I feel like no one really can handle that situation apart from maybe Kante and a mobility standpoint. Yeah. Gilmour's up for question in terms of physicality, even though he's very tenacious, goes up for his headers, but he is very light. Mount the same.
Kovacic is the same. Jorginho
not exactly the most defensively astute, and Jorginho lacks mobility. So no matter who you put in there, it is always going to be a risk, isn't it?
Absolutely, and this is where the worry is. So and this is where I tend to somewhat agree with Younes in the sense that maybe a double pivot just to help help out Billy Gilmour. Do you know what I mean? But then a double pivot of Billy Gilmour and Kovacic, like that doesn't really help.
It's not the most penetrable. It's not the most bulletproof.
Fulham's not going to look at Billy Gilmour and Kovacic. Yeah, go on.
The reason why I feel like Mount is needed because of the energy that he has over these other guys, and also he's been quite direct as well in terms of corners, long shots. I know it's very basic, but it might come down to that. I'm not going to lie. You know what I mean? It might just come down to something like that.
100%. And honestly, Fulham ain't going to look at us and think, there's Billy Gilmour and Kovacic in their pivot. They're not going to, I'm scared now. I'm worried. There's a lot of physicality and, these guys are going to push us over. No. So, look, as I said, I'd still go with the pivot, but my only thing is I'd probably play Billy Gilmour and Mount just a little bit in front of Billy. It may not look like a pivot, but somewhat of a pivot, but where Mount has the authority to sort of go up, but at the same time, he needs to come back, drop deep very quickly and help out Billy Gilmour in transition. So, I would want Mount to go just as far as just outside the box and no further than that, and so that he can recover back. So it'll be Billy Gilmour and Mount, and then Kai Havertz, in the 10. That doesn't mean that he just sticks around in the 10. He's got to come back. Defensive shape, he has to come back and help out these two boys because they'll have 5 in midfield and we'll need numbers. And similarly with our wingers. So, yeah, boys, my team, Mendy, Reece James, Thiago Silva, Zuma, Chilwell, Billy Gilmour, Mason Mount, Kai Havertz, Ziyech, Giroud, Hudson-Odoi.
And, we speak about Reece James overlapping, but potentially he might have to be an inverted fullback at times to help, Billy Gilmour as well. We've seen him play DM at Wigan. We've spoken about he's got the strength and the tenacity and all of those things we look for that we don't have in the midfield. And I think if we had still a Tariq Lamptey or someone more attacking at right back, potentially we would actually use Reece James in a double pivot in midfield at the moment. And that could solve our issues. Do you know what I mean? That could be another way to go. But I think with Aspie, I wouldn't, I just think we lose too much at the right-hand side going forward if we don't have Reece James. But I think Reece James in midfield potentially could be, if we are getting overrun in midfield early on, I wouldn't be against moving Reece James into midfield and putting Aspie at right back, because I do feel, I'd have Aspie on the bench, and that would be one of the things that that would maybe be my first substitution. If we're getting overrun in midfield, like you guys say, because no matter what midfield setup we go with, even mine, yours, I feel like both of them are, you know what I mean? I don't really like any of them. I don't really like any of them. So I think I'd be very quick to move Reece James in field if that happens. We got some super chats from Rodrigo, and then we're going to wrap up. Fulham don't play a low block; they press well. Yep, 100%. But we did speak about we spoke about earlier on in the show where we feel like because they've had so many cases. I think 10 players. You said Younes, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then they also play Tottenham. There's a very small recovery time for that team. They've been ill.
I think they'll start off slow. They'll start off as a low block and maybe come into the game just like yesterday.
Yeah, and I think they'll start off with a low block. I don't think they're going to press for 90 minutes with the fatigue of their team and knowing that we struggle against low blocks. So we spoke about it earlier. Scott Parker is very flexible, and I think with the status of their health of their team and the recovery and the fact that they're playing 2 games and we've had a whole week off, it would make sense, and I'd expect them to start with a low block and, like Younes said, try and hold out and then last 20, 30 minutes similar to Wolves, then go for us. Because the longer the game goes on, Chelsea will get more nervous and then things can go left. I fear for this game, like Southampton, high energy pressing Lampard out. We're like the 2008 Arsenal team. Yeah, so like I said, I disagree with you with the pressing. I don't think you're going to see that because of the reasons that I gave you there personally. People, we're going to wrap up now because I got a stream with Rants in 10 minutes. And also, like I said, 3 streams tomorrow. I'm going on Miz's channel. Miz, let them know what's going on tomorrow, bro.
Yeah. Look, it's going to be a preview with a bit of a twist. So we're going to have the boys. It'll be a trilogy. You know, we were in Younes' channel yesterday, Matisse's channel today, tomorrow my channel. However, the twist is we're going to have Jack from Fulhamish. Fulhamish is the Fulham's probably #1 YouTube channel. They cover everything about Fulham, and these guys are buzzing. I saw their page yesterday, and they were buzzing. They were very, very upbeat about Scott Parker and how proud they were about that performance against Spurs, and they were actually thinking they should have won that. So these guys, you know, the ambition's very high, and it'd be very, very good to have a conversation with someone from Fulham directly about, you know, Scott Parker, what their team is, the morale is like at the moment, and a whole heap of things about all the players that are not in. So yeah, that's what's happening in my channel tomorrow. So I hope you guys can all join that. Obviously, the boys Matisse and Younes will be there as well. So hopefully we get a little bit from the Fulham side of things.
100%. So guys, make sure you're subscribed to Other Side of the Coin. Link will be in description as well. Just type it in on YouTube. Make sure you go subscribe to Miz and Younes.
I just want to say, before, but yeah, we do now. before we go, there's been news that we've just lost our longest serving player at Chelsea Football Club.
Who's that? I know it's some obscure name, so I know that. Like, is it Lucas Piazon or something?
Lucas Piazon has left after 10 years.
Bloody
he's finally gone. He's gone to Braga on a 4-year deal. So good luck.
Is he still 24?
I think so.
Congratulations, Lucas Piazon, for being another person to go through the loan system and come out the other side and still have a career intact. There's been a lot of great stories, but my God, he is just being used and abused. People, make sure you subscribe to Younes Talks Football. I'm sure you already are, so I'm just wasting my time. And like I said, I won't be uploading tomorrow because I'm going on 3 other channels. I'm going to be, if you want to stick with me and find out more about what I've got to say about the weekend, I'm going to be on Rants and Bants, Rants' channel in 10 minutes, starting at 1. Over there. Tomorrow, I'm going to be on Miz's channel as well. I think 11 a.m. UK time, isn't it, Miz? Yeah, with Fulhamish and Younes as well, I think. So join us for that preview. So, and then Saeed as well. Saeed, United Central at 6 p.m. tomorrow as well. And then also the Big Six with Turkish and all the boys on his channel as well, 10 p.m. So like I said, no upload tomorrow. I'm going to be on tour. And then Saturday, you're going to get the review. And it better be after a win, because if it's not, Lord have mercy on our soul. People, it's been real. Catch you on Saturday. And if you're joining me on other channels in the coming days, boys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great stream. And I'll see you also next Thursday as well and tomorrow. So we're like a little family, and we just every day.
We are.
In a bit, people. See you for all You Can Eat Chelsea next Thursday. In a bit.
See you later.